Friend asked a question on her WhatsApp status earlier today that got me thinking as creatives. This is something that affects all of us, but we do not understand how it happens. What she asked was that, or more what she first stated was that she loves what she does as a creative, especially when she's working for others. But when she's not creating for herself, in the midst of doing for others, she starts to get miserable. And she asked that, are there other creatives that can relate to this? And why could it be happening? When I saw that question, it rang something true for me, even as a creative, because I had the same thing happen to me in 2018 when I was managing a record label company. I was very happy to manage the record label because it meant proximity to music, but I wasn't creating any music for myself. I was happy to give my all to the label, to do the best to see that the artists shine, but I was also miserable, which later turned into depression in 2019. And we all know I went to rehab in 2020 for clinical depression. And a lot of creative people do not understand. In fact, people generally do not understand that the opposite of depression is expression. When you are not expressing the creativity within you in whatever way that aligns with you, you become depressed. It's not about being broke. It's not about hustling. No, depression stems from lack of expression. And as creatives, a lot of us become depressed because we are not expressing the kind of art, the kind of thing we really want to create. And we're doing what we have to either make money or remain relevant. But the truth is, the core of the passion of who we really are, we are keeping it suppressed. And that is where depression starts to come in. And this generally happens because the mistake we make is that we feel like if we're giving to others, creating for others, doing for others, it will fulfill us. But the truth is, you cannot give from an empty cup. First, fill yourself up fully. Do for yourself first, and then give from the overflow of which you have. Take Beyonce, for instance. I am not a fan of Beyonce. I think she's great. I respect her hustle and all that she does. But personally, that's my personal preference. I'm not a fan, but I respect her so much that see what she did with herself. She made a big name for herself to the point that when she decided to put African artists on the map, she could do it with an album with her barely doing much on it, to create an avenue for them to be seen by the world and see how creative they are. Let's be honest. The world didn't start to take notice of African talent until Beyonce did that Lion King album with the Africans. Kanye West, sorry, not Kanye, what's his name? Diddy would have not really given a fuck about Bonner if not because Beyonce put him on the map. And all the African artists that were on that album actually saw the positivity of what that did for them. Beyonce could only do that after pouring into herself for so long that she had enough left over to give others. Granted, it could have selfish, reasons, but everything we do, whether we like it or not, has a selfish back end to it. Even when you think you're not being selfish, you are, because when you're doing things for people to make them happy, it is still selfish because the end result is you get something out of it. Whether it's money, it's whatever. That's why I always tell people, just be selfish with your whole might. Don't be forming selfless, because at the end of the day, everything we do in this world has selfishness attached to it. So be selfish enough to give back to yourself all that you're willing to want to give to others, because you cannot give from an empty cup. If you're a creator or a creative who is battling with that balance of wanting to do for others and do for yourself first, and then give from what is left over to others.